Hey, welcome back, folks, to Max Nave Horsemanship again today. Nice day. Well, depends on where you live, I guess. It's nice enough compared to what it has been. We don't have a blizzard going on. Although, the forecast is that in a couple of days it's going to get cloudy again and rain. Yeah, figures. Oh well, I'm going to enjoy this while I can. Maybe you should too. Okay, today I want to talk about something that I saw another video where a guy was asking viewers' opinions on it. And I also just recently read an article on it that kind of went along with my opinion. And I have mentioned it before in the past, but it's been a while, so I'm going to talk about it again. And it's colt starting. Colt starting competitions in particular. Or sometimes they'll even do it in demos and stuff like that where, well, okay, I kind of get why guys do it. It's great for marketing if you're trying to drum up business and make yourself look good. You know, it's like, hey, I'm a great horseman. Look what I can accomplish in, well, in many competitions, it's generally around 6 hours. 6 hours, a completely untrained horse to riding it around in 6 hours. That's the goal. And, well, I don't know what you've heard or what your opinion is on the subject. And please feel free to make a comment below what you think about colt startings. But I don't think any horse, anywhere, should ever be started that fast. And I find it kind of disturbing because I've seen quite a few of them. I've even seen them in person as well as videos of them. And what's really interesting is I even saw one time where there was a guy, I knew who he was, and I know for fact that that individual has said things to the effect, it takes as long as it takes, you can't rush good training, blah, blah, all that stuff. And he totally contradicted his own teachings by taking part in one of these colt starting competitions, because I would never want to own one of those horses. Personally, I think they've been traumatized. You know, they may look like they've been well started, but you know, it can't be done. It just simply cannot be done. And no trainer worth his salt is going to ever tell you that it's okay to try and start a horse in that length of time. I've read many articles that say even, you know, the 30, 60, 90 days, which is 3 months. 3 months is just the beginning. You know, that's enough that you can actually go ride the horse, but it's far from trained at that point. That's 3 months, not 6 hours. Okay, even at 3 months, that horse is not trained. And my personal experience working with horses is 6 hours, it might take 6 hours just to teach the horse one thing, depending on the horse and its state and personality and, you know, what it's been through and everything else. There's a lot of variables. But even a relatively clean slate, no. And at the end of 6 hours, I don't care what you do or how good you are, you shouldn't be getting on that horse. Nobody should. Nobody should ever get on a horse that fast. And there are some that are even as extreme as 1 hour. And there's one guy in particular I can think of that is kind of famous for that, but there's a whole lot more that goes on behind the barn than you'll ever see in any of his videos. So if you see somebody demonstrating how they can have a rider on the horse, first thing you're going to notice is he's never the one getting on the horse. He knows better. And secondly, there's a whole lot of stuff going on that you don't know about. How that horse has been housed and treated prior to the event, etc., etc. I'm not going to elaborate. I'm only going to say that it sets a very bad example when people see horses started in 6 hours or any unreasonable length of time, because it gives horse owners unreasonable expectations of their horses. It's like, well, if they can train a totally untrained horse in 6 hours, you should easily be able to train my horse in a month. No, you can't. Not if done properly. And it all depends on the horse. Some horses, even 3 months isn't enough. 6 months might not be enough. But once the horse is finally started properly under saddle, and it might turn out in the end to be an absolutely fantastic horse, which can't just go by the 30, 60, 90-day training thing, and certainly not this 6-hour nonsense that people are led to believe. And the other bad part of that is unreasonable expectations are put on trainers, because it's like, okay, if this famous named guy can do it in 6 hours, certainly you don't need to have 3 months, do you? Yes, you do. 3 months and then some, maybe. Actually, it wasn't all that long ago. I almost bought a horse. Somebody beat me to it, but it had been sent to a trainer's, and because after a couple of weeks it hadn't had a rider on it yet, they decided the horse wasn't good enough. And I'm like, in that length of time, they shouldn't have been on the horse anyhow. At least not the way I do things, or not the way I think things should be done. And certainly not according to the horse. Now, that horse was a little bit nervous, a little bit high-strung type of horse, but I think in time, that would have been an awesome horse. And well, somebody else obviously saw what I saw, and they managed to beat me to it. They came up with the cash and a horse trailer faster than I could. So I missed out on that one. But it was a lovely horse. I went and saw the thing in person, and played with it a little on the ground to see what it knew, and just kind of get a bearing on its personality. And honestly, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. But it was certainly not one of those horses you're going to start in 6 hours. No way. Even after, I think it was 3 weeks, they hadn't had a rider on it. They thought that was unacceptable and decided to get rid of the horse. Instead of pay the extra money for a few more weeks before it had a rider on it, maybe it was going to take another couple weeks at the end. Who knows? There's no saying for sure. Personally, I don't think it's a problem if it takes you 2 months to get on a horse. Never get on until it's time. It's the biggest mistake. I've done videos on that one too. So anyhow, the one video I watched, the guy was saying, hey, what do my viewers, I've been given the opportunity to participate in a colt starting competition. And he asked his viewers, what do you think? Should I do it? And I was really astounded, because I'd watched quite a few of the guy's videos, and he seemed to be a fairly decent horseman. And he made his living doing it, between training, doing clinics, YouTube videos, all sorts of stuff like that. There was absolutely no reason to really be doing it. He had a full, he was booked right up. He had a waiting period. So there was no reason to be doing it as a marketing thing to promote himself as this great horse trainer so they'd get more business. So I don't even understand why he was even considering it, because his mentality and the things that he stated too were, you take your time, you go slow, blah, blah, all this stuff, and yet he's asking whether or not you think he should be in a colt starting competition. At the same time, totally contradictory to his style of training. I didn't understand it. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I've watched this stuff enough times and read enough articles on it. It's totally unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. No horse should ever be started that fast. I would never want to own one of those horses. And don't ever think that that is a reasonable way of doing things. And in fact, the typical 30, 60, 90 days training that a lot of people will do for horses, I don't even think that, I'm not even sure that's acceptable. Because I think at the very minimum, it's going to be 90 days. And even then, the horse might not be done. You still might have to do some more. And if you happen to be doing it yourself, and you don't have all the skills of a professional trainer, and you don't have a lot of time to spend with the horse, 6 months. Who cares? Doesn't matter. As long as you do it right and you do it safely and you don't get hurt, you don't traumatize the horse, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter how long you take. So all this, 6 hours or even 30, 60, 90 days, putting any kind of time constraint or turning it into a competition, totally unacceptable. And it sets a very, very bad example both for horse owners and for trainers, and it's not good for the horse. So my opinion on colt starting competitions, if anybody had any sense, they'd be banned. If anybody in the government actually cared about horses in the first place, they'd be illegal. They'd make laws against it. But when it comes to horse owners and people that actually care about horses, we are a pretty small sliver of the entire population. Most people have never even seen a horse. have no idea what horses even look like up close. They don't know what they smell like, what they feel like, nothing. They don't have a clue about them. They don't care about them. They're something from days gone by that don't matter anymore. And so, unfortunately, they become an object of games for humans that have egos and want to pump themselves up and look good. Or, well, I don't know what they're trying to do, but I don't know. I think I've made myself clear. Colt starting competitions or any event of any kind that rushes the training of a horse in any way, shape, or form, unacceptable and an absolute no-no in my books. Don't ever go to one. Don't waste your money. Don't encourage them. Don't endorse them. Don't give them your money. When it comes to going to them. I thought it was rather entertaining. The one that I did see, I didn't even pay for it. It was free. And I never did see the whole thing. I was kind of disgusted by it. The notion that these guys thought that they could get on and ride a horse in 6 hours. Give them credit, some of them were doing a pretty good job with their horses. They were doing all the right things, but they were doing it all way too fast. They were trying to do in 6 hours what should take months, and that's if you know what you're doing and you're good at it. If it's not something you do for a living, if you're not a professional, it could take you quite a few months. So anyhow, don't endorse them, don't encourage them, don't support them in any way, shape, or form, don't buy tickets to them, don't even bother going to them. And if nobody shows up, maybe someday they'll figure out that they shouldn't be doing them anymore. Unfortunately, there are certain ones that have near capacity crowds in very, very large arenas where some very big names are doing it. And honestly, my opinion is such that if you ever see somebody doing it, that you know who they are, stop taking advice from them. Because even if in their training videos or anything like that, or at their clinics, they tell you to do things the right way, they have contradicted themselves by participating in these competitions and doing things completely wrong. So I don't understand it. I don't understand why it even exists, how it happens. I don't understand the motivation behind some of the guys that are doing it, because some of them don't need the marketing, and some of them are even contradicting what they say in their training programs. So it makes no sense. And in my opinion, it makes absolutely no sense to ever even consider doing it, or watching it, supporting it, or anything like that. So again, my opinion of colt starting, no. Take your time, go slow. Have a good day.